When the SNP government was elected, we said that we would make increasing sustainable economic growth the purpose of the government, and that's what we've done in the intervening 4 years. We've concentrated every area of government on ensuring our economic success. And that's been invaluable at a time of great challenge in the economy, where we've faced recession, and of course in Scotland the recession was shallower and shorter than the rest of the UK. We're now in a position, after our stewardship and the investment we've made in the economy, of having a situation where unemployment is falling and employment is rising, which is the opposite of what's happening in the rest of the UK. So people in Scotland can be sure that an SNP government will work with all of its energy to boost the growth companies of Scotland who are operating in the growth sectors, who are operating in the growth markets that are available to Scotland, to ensure that we deliver economic prosperity for the people of this country. And what people will also know is the type of practical measures that the SNP government has put in place, such as reducing or removing business rates for many small companies across the country, will be sustained to ensure that we maximise our investment in business in Scotland. So the SNP government is determined to ensure Scotland delivers economic prosperity, and our intervention will bring that about.
Labour launched its business manifesto very recently. It's brimful of ideas for growing our economy, from how do we get more entrepreneurs into the system to our skills demands, our key sectors and industries. But I think what most of all it's about is an understanding in Labour that we know that a prosperous Scotland is one which is working, where people are employed, where wealth is created, and in turn, through that wealth, we can invest in our social services. So that's key to our economic strategy. Part of that is a commitment to the people of Scotland that our concentration will be first and foremost on jobs, on growth, not distracted by independence referendums and other choices. It's clear that we need to grow this economy here in Scotland, and I'm absolutely confident that through our First Foot scheme for first-time home buyers, through our entrepreneurship schemes, through our support for co-investment, that will do that very thing, grow the economy. Infrastructure being important, creating the connections in society both through broadband, physical infrastructure like our roads and our railways. That's what's going to get Scotland moving and allow our businesses, those most talented businesses in Scotland, to create the wealth, provide the landscape on which they can grow a better Scotland.
Well, Scottish Conservatives are optimistic about the potential in Scotland's economy. Too many people are very negative about what Scotland as a nation can achieve. We think there's a lot of opportunity to grow the Scottish economy at a much higher rate than has been achieved in recent years, and to create jobs as a result. The challenge, of course, is to focus on raising the start-up rate in Scotland. There are far too few business start-ups in Scotland compared to the rest of the UK, and indeed the UK doesn't do particularly well compared to other nations in the world. If we could raise the business start-up rate in Scotland, we'd have a higher rate of business successes, and we'd create many more jobs. To do that, we need a government that's more focused on helping small business, not just the larger businesses which have traditionally devoted a lot of attention from civil servants and the government. The small business rate reductions which were introduced after the Conservative pressure in the last Parliament will help, and so will the national insurance incentives that the UK government is giving to Scotland, but not to, for example, the southeast of England. But what it also requires is a government that's joined up, working with local government and with the UK government, and is entirely focused on raising the rate of growth in the Scottish economy. It means investing in the right infrastructure which will give us a competitive advantage in the future, and by taking Scottish Water out of ministerial control, we can invest an extra £500 million in infrastructure which will make us more competitive. So there's a lot of things that the next Scottish Government can do, but it needs to be absolutely focused on the objective of creating jobs and raising the growth in the Scottish economy. The last two Scottish Governments have said that's their main aim. It's simply not been evident in what they do in practice.
The Liberal Democrats will be publishing very clear proposals to support the private sector to get the right environment of which jobs can be created, up to 100,000 new jobs in the Scottish economy, in investing in our sustainability, in cladding people's homes, in investing in broadband across Scotland, and investing in our public estate, which is absolutely critical for the future, as well as making sure that for our best capital as a country, our human resource, our people, have the best opportunity in education. And that is why we will be fighting to restore excellence in education. And we'll also make sure that when times are tough, we resist the temptation by other parties to centralise services into either Edinburgh or Glasgow, or to be run, micromanaged by politicians or bureaucrats. Keeping local services responding to local communities in our regions is absolutely critical. So supporting jobs, restoring excellence in education, and making sure that our local services stay local will be the centrepiece of Liberal Democrat proposals in the election.